Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday night to you. I'm James J., the voice of Midwest Motorsports. This is the Midwest Motorsports Cooldown Lap. Midwest Motorsports is the fastest growing iRacing league on the internet, according to my research. And I am joined tonight by Justin Thaler and Eric Thaler, the founders of Midwest Motorsports. Eric, the godfather of Midwest Motorsports, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, James. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm happy to talk about everything Midwest Motorsports, and I'm excited to hear what Justin Thaler has to say about the weekend too. How you doing, Justin?
I'm doing well. How's everybody doing?
I hope we're doing as good as you are after a good weekend of racing, man. Where do you want to start? We can go with in real life this week in motorsports. Um, we can start off with the Cup racing, Justin. Well, how about Eric? Eric was there at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, so let's talk, Eric. How'd your weekend go, and what'd you think of the racing?
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely a good race. Last 4 years or so, we've been going out to Indy to see, them on the road course and whatnot. It was a blessing that they went back to the ovals. It was something I've never experienced before, and the weekend definitely didn't disappoint. From the Cup side, uh, you know, uh, the green white cautions or green white checkers, I should say. They definitely put on a show there at the end. There was some controversy, obviously, fuel mileage definitely played a factor, and uh, you had Kozlowski going to the pits there as we were going green for the first green white checker, and that put Larson up front in the front row, which um, there was some controversy on the radio from Ryan Blaney. I was listening to his radio, and he was a little upset that NASCAR allowed Larson to be the control car in that restart, and essentially put Larson out front when the wreck happened there in turn one. But
And so
the
Blaney was ahead at that point.
Blaney
Do you
was
think?
ahead of Larson. He was P2. Larson was P3. Um, that's how they chose, but
Gotcha.
you know, Kozlowski going into the pits there right before they got into the restart zone, um, jumped
Oh,
Larson up a spot, which basically put him, in pole position, on the inside line, and NASCAR allowed him to control the restart, and that screwed some things up for Blaney there, but um, they wrecked in turn one. Larson was out front. Uh, then they red flagged the race there, and the Larson starter didn't work, so he had to be pushed off. So there was another controversy there, and stuck him back in the lead. And then of course we had the Ryan Preece spin there before they took the white flag, and he was sitting on the back stretch. And of course NASCAR didn't throw the yellow until they
Mhm.
all took the white flag, which again another controversial call by NASCAR. So interesting weekend. It did put on a show. I'm not gonna lie there. It definitely put on a show. There was a lot of lead changes. Listen to the radios. There was a lot of strategic strategy on fuel saving and what everybody was going to do. That definitely made the race entertaining from listening to the drivers and crew chief spotters on strategy. That was a lot of fun, but it definitely didn't disappoint. It definitely was better uh, than what the road course put on in the last 3 years, and I'm very excited for next year, even to go back and see them. So there was zero disappointment. Was there some controversy? Absolutely.
there. I'm still trying to process. Eric, you've I was watching it on the USA, and there was so much going on that nobody really explained it, but you explained it to me better than anybody else. And I really wish that I mean, I can't imagine what it was like in the control room.
Yeah.
What Josh is doing for us, basically. But in real time, when you're coming to the green and the leader comes into the pits, what do you give him a caution and make him choose again? That takes 3 pacing laps. They're already out of gas.
Oh,
I mean, that
yeah.
would be a controversy in itself. So that's one of those wham bam calls.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're
Um,
right. Like, it definitely. What do they do, right? Like, what do they do in that situation?
you just got to let him
Um,
go, I guess. But why? Because of where they chose, Kyle ended up being on the inside, and so he was able to step up and then be the control car.
yeah,
Mhm.
they let him
Oh,
start the green flag rather than Blaney at that point.
so
So
Brad Keselowski kind of threw a wrench into everybody's system. Said,
oh,
if
for
I'm not
sure.
going to make it, then I'm just going to screw the whole race up and cause some more controversy. You're still going to be talking about me, even if it's not about the win. I was pulling for Bad Brad so much. Justin, I know you were too.
Yep.
What do you think about all what's going on? Which controversy do you want to talk about?
I mean, I think the ending. I mean, I don't understand, and you made a valid point. Um, you can't, basically repace and let uh, the guys basically pick, new uh new lanes or anything. But I mean, I just don't understand how you can basically take over where essentially the position in the lane where the true leader and the control car took, and at least continue to be from a row behind, and you just get basically put into that position. So that there was a lot of radio chatter, and it happened to quite a few guys about the whole pit lane exiting thing, and they were talking about it on the broadcast, and basically um, the verbiage of what NASCAR said. So I know Chase got the penalty. He was pretty heated about
Right.
it, to say the least. I don't want to say the verbiage to me didn't sound very clear because they basically said the racing surface. Well, coming out around there, those guys were arcing up and barely, granted they were getting, basically their whole car onto essentially the racing surface of the track and then arcing back down. So they were just really trying to do the best they could to maximize their pit exit speed, but they were getting penalties. But supposedly in years past, that wasn't an issue. So I don't know why NASCAR didn't basically just say, "Look, this outer white line,
Right.
you cannot cross with any part of your car." Just and I don't know why they couldn't have just made it that clear in the drivers' meeting, because from the sound of it, it wasn't very clear because a lot of the drivers were like, "Well, that's well past the apex of the corner. Nobody's going to exit that corner and basically hold that bottom lane." So was it a miss on NASCAR not being clear enough or what? But at least at least they were consistent with it because it caught a handful of guys out, and whoever, I don't know who it was, but the guys getting it after Chase got it, like, why aren't your crew chiefs saying, "Look, the 9 just got a penalty. This is what he did. Make sure you're not crossing that outer white line on your pit exit. You need to stay in this." So
Send a text to all the crew chiefs and let them
oh,
tell your drivers or whatever, however they communicate in the middle of the
oh,
race.
well, yeah, well, if I was a crew chief of anybody else, I would have, I saw that. I said, "Look, the 9 car just got this penalty. Make sure you don't do this either." So
Yeah.
the cars to follow, I thought looked kind of more foolish, I guess. Um, Considering the guy just got nailed for it, where was your crew chief at? When that happened, but it is what it is.
So it's funny because BK got it too
Mm,
right after Chase, and I was listening to Brad and TJ, and Brad was complaining because he only had 2 tires over the white line, and
hmm
that's something that he always did in the past racing
hmm
there on the oval. And of course, he
And it was
got
never an
pegged,
issue then.
right, and he got pegged for the drive through. And
Well,
I'll be honest. Essentially, it probably saved his day because he saved fuel
Fuel.
having to do a drive-through. So,
He did. He
um,
did.
you know, it if it wasn't for the green white checkered at the end, he would have been in great shape. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, that happened.
He was in
I
great
think
shape.
my controversy is the final white flag. I mean, the guy was sitting in the middle of the track before the guys exited turn 3, much less entered 4 and half a mile down the front straightaway. The car was stopped, obviously not going to make it back. It's almost like they waited till they got to turn 1 to throw the checker, basically. I would like to
100%.
see another restart.
I agree 100%. I mean, he's sitting there. He can't get it rolling. I mean, it's not safe to leave him out there. But when they're showing the picture of down the front stretch with the cars coming towards you out of 4, and you can tell they're just waiting for them to cross the line, get the race over with, and call it a day.
They've thrown
So,
the cars. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
well, I was gonna say that exact situation happened in 2023 at Pocono with Priest,
Oh,
and he was stopped on the backstretch. Denny Hamlin took the white flag, and they threw the caution as he was entering one.
It was stupid.
I was
It
going to use a
was
super speedway as a reference, but I'm sure it's happened before a lot.
so I told so Anthony was with us at the race, and I told Ann, I said I feel like this is deja vu, like this has happened before. And we were doing research and found that it was Pocono last year, and it happened. So
But
interesting.
Anthony was probably tickled pink. He's a Larson guy. So he was
Speaking of
happy.
Anthony, yeah, Ant Castor is usually our host, our gracious Cooldown Lap host, and he's not here tonight. He was enjoying the racing in real life at Indianapolis, and yeah, we miss him tonight. Yeah, don't worry, I'm not. He hasn't lost his job. I'm not taking over. He still
Yeah.
has a place here, so don't get
Does
too
he?
excited. But yeah, we miss him.
But
You
yeah,
got to
very,
change some diapers. Yeah,
yeah. And again, it was super controversial, right? Like NASCAR knew he was sitting there; he wasn't going to get going, and yeah,
but like you said, Eric, it sold some seats. It's entertaining. I mean, do you
it
think
was.
it put more tickets sold next year?
Yeah. So it will. Like the ticket sales definitely have been up since they come back to the oval. From what I saw, over top of the road course, even having the double with any car and NASCAR in the same weekend, ticket sales were definitely still more than what they were since they went to the road course. So, um, if anything, honestly, I think folks should go watch Xfinity race because those guys were. Oh, that was the best race of the weekend.
Mm.
We had a good time watching them, and let alone we went over to IRP and watched a truck race too, and they put on a good show as well, and Cup just sealed the deal from the side of the strategy side of fuel saving and who's gonna run out and who's gonna be in the forefront there at the end. So it definitely was an exciting race and an exciting weekend.
Definitely sounds like an exciting weekend, especially to be there in real life with your friends and doing the whole camping out thing instead of doing the hotels and driving back and forth. I know there's just something about waking up and grilling, or even if it's waking up and meeting at a restaurant or whatever. But um, it's all fun just to meet up with friends and to be live at the track if you ever get a chance. If you're within 2 hours of a racetrack and you have the time, you should definitely check it out, even if it's a day trip. I highly encourage it.
Yep.
There's more in real life racing going on too. Any other specific races you guys want to talk about before we start getting into Midwest Motorsports Series?
Oh, the F1 was. I wouldn't say. I mean, I would say it was controversial, but it was controversial in terms of a lot of the action going on. Were you able to watch that live? Did you watch the whole thing, James?
Oh, I watched every minute of it, and the post race show too. It was madness. Unexpected, surprising. Eric, you were a little busy, so I don't know if you were able to see or read up on any of it.
No, unfortunately not.
All right, well, you're about to hear all about it.
You're gonna need to help. You're gonna need to help me, James, because I'll probably be all over the place.
You take over.
So, I guess qualifying went pretty interesting. Lando North P1 and Oscar Piastri, the other McLaren driver, P2. So the great start for
I thought
McLaren.
Piastri had the pole.
Uh,
Piastri got the pole, and Lando got second
Did he?
because it rained. There was a red flag right at the end. They were able to get there was 2 minutes left. Max decided not to go out for that last one, and Lando couldn't beat his own time and definitely couldn't beat Piastri's time. So they both came in.
Okay.
Piastri started on the pole, and I think that's why the end happened the way it did. But we'll get to that by the time we get to the end. But yeah,
And
Piastri was definitely on the pole, 100% positive.
Max P3. So
Third.
it was an interesting start. Well, qualifying, there was kind of a, if nobody caught it, I guess Fernando Alonso was very heated at the FIA due to the issue with Tsunoda running off track. I didn't really hear a whole lot more about that, but Fernando was not happy. Fernando after quali, so I was looking for a really strong day for McLaren. Going into turn one on the race, Piastri had the run on the inside, and Lando was more or less towards the middle of the track, and Max tried to put it 3 wide. Lando really couldn't go any further onto the inside. Like I said, Oscar was there. He kind of beat him into the corner anyways, but there was just not enough room for Max hanging out there like I think he thought he was gonna be able to do. So Max runs pretty wide, and I think he rejoined behind or next to Hamilton going into turn 2. But immediately gets on the radio saying Lando pushed him wide and all this other stuff. He wasn't happy about that, but it pursued to a pretty decent battle between Max and Lewis for the next couple corners. One of the Alpines, was it Ocon or I think it was Gasly maybe,
Pierre.
but he had to retire. I think they said it was a hydraulic issue or something with his car.
Just like Silverstone. Yep.
Not surprising. It was a unreliable Alpine car out there.
Yeah.
So fast forward, everybody kind of starts the pit cycle through. Nothing too surprising. It's kind of status quo. Not a whole lot of super passing going on. But Ferraris were kind of making their way through the field. They were getting by some people for position during the race. But I want to say there's probably about 10 laps to go, and it's Lando. So Lando kind of got McLaren called Lando in, and he was able to undercut Oscar. And they're basically trying to just protect P2 and get Oscar back out, thinking they would be able to get him back up to P1. And coming into turn 1, for the laps prior, Max is trying, not desperately to this point, but he's trying to work his way past Hamilton. And it was great battles. It was kind of back in years prior when those two were the front runners of Formula One, and they're both just driving lights out. And he finally gets a run on him, and Lewis is on the traditional driving line going into turn 1, and Max comes bombing up the inside, locks all 4 up, smoking from all 4 corners of his car. Lewis really was, approaching the corner as he would, and I really think there was enough room at the point. If you watch Lewis's onboard or watch that in slow motion, when Lewis does start to rotate the car, there's room on the inside, but Max was completely out of control. and Max's left rear made contact with Lewis's right front. Red Bull, I mean, how far did his rear end get up? 3 feet in the
Probably
air?
10 feet off the ground. Yeah. 10 might be an exaggeration, but at least 5 was. It was over the roll hoop. Yeah, he was looking at the asphalt and the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was almost reminiscent of, I forget what year it was, but that turn one where he was coming out of the pits, or I don't remember if he was coming out or Lewis was at Monza, and it turned
Oh.
to at the chicane there. Those two just collided, and Max ended up on top of Lewis's car. But you know, I've defended Max on here. I think he's uber talented. I think he's one of, you know, an amazing talent, and you can't take his abilities away from him. But he was really, I think, literally the last half of that race was just Sky Sports playing him just whining and bitching and moaning on the radio. And after he got into that contact with Lewis, he's yelling at his engineer that, you know, Lewis turned into him and everything else. And GP, his engineer, rightfully so, basically told him, dude, grow the hell up. I'm not
being
I'm
a
not back.
child.
Yeah, I'm not backing you on this. Like, you're a damn fool if you think I'm about to radio to Mercedes and tell them it was Hamilton's fault. So,
Well, about that one, Max had DRS, and that's how he got such a good run.
yep.
And so probably arrived there, 10 miles an hour faster and used the same braking zone and completely forgot that he was going faster
Yep.
and for the situation and just basically blew the corner. And I think he felt like Hamilton should have given it to him, that he could just barge his way in there and back it into the corner. If you don't know the Hungary track, it's like almost a 180, maybe like a 170 right-hand
Yeah.
turn. It's got a bunch of runoff room, drivers left, and that's how he got around them on the start. Is I think on the initial start when they were 3 wide, Max probably ran it in the simulator over and over and over again, trying to figure out how he could go around the outside and Ross Chastain it through the runoff area and come out ahead of both of them. And he ended up ahead of Lando, and FIA was investigating past track limits, and Christian Horner finally convinced Max to let Lando by, and he did.
Yeah.
And that's how he got back by. But you're right about the Hamilton Max battle. Did remind me of days gone by when they were battling before. And Max just has an ego. I don't know how he puts a helmet on every day. He's got to have a bigger helmet because he just thinks that he owns all the racing surface. And then I'll let you talk about the McLaren end of the race, finish of the race, because it's not over yet, Eric. But wait, there's more.
So, you know, I would say pretty much, I don't know if it was maybe a lap or two before that, but they're basically, it kind of started like basically as if Oscar gets to you, because at that point he was outside of DRS zone.
Yeah, it was like 3 seconds back, 3.5.
Yeah, I want to say it was like 3 seconds. So McLaren is telling Lando that if Oscar gets to you, we want to swap positions. And Lando's basically like, well, I'm out here, you guys pit me, and I'm running at a pace to manage tires. Like, if he can't get to me, why should I concede my position? I'm fighting for a win. I'm clearly out front enough to where rightfully so, I should get the win. So they're, come on, Lando, you need to lift in corners X, Y, Z, and preserve your tires. So they also thought that he was pushing the car too hard because he was running mediums and there was still enough laps to where potentially somebody from behind could have maybe started to make some hay and catch back up and compete, maybe for the win. But they're basically telling him, and it got basically so bad to the point where his engineer said, Lando, you need to get back to the position. I'm trying to protect you. You need to do what's right for the team right now. And I want to say with like maybe 2 laps to go, basically coming out of the final corner, he just kind of runs a little bit wide, and you could tell he totally had to come out of the throttle a lot.
Oh.
And Oscar gets by him for the win. At the time, personally, and if anybody's listening, I'm a Lando Norris fan. I was texting a couple of my buddies, and I was like, he should do it. It's for the team. They need the constructor points right now because they're within a handful of points behind Red Bull right now. So if they can at least get the constructors on lockdown, but I also think, Piastri's done it in the past where it's helped out Lando and helped them get a win. He's played the team game before. Oscar has plenty of times, and it's hard. Would I like to see Lando win? Yes, but at the same time, it came out today that basically they're not the engineer, but the team principal, Andreas Seidel, basically said there's zero tolerance. Like, if you're not for McLaren, then you're not going to have a place here. And that message, I don't think, was really directed to Lando personally. Like, stemming from that, I think he was just setting the precedent. Like, that's not how our team is going to operate. We put McLaren first and foremost. And I also think, Lando's like 50 points behind, I think, from Max right now. And there's still enough races left where I think, if Lando can take more chunks out of that lead that Max has, I don't think McLaren is going to say, okay, Oscar, you're going to get the points this week. You know what I mean? Like, they're not that inept to not see that, if Lando can close that gap more and they have a chance for one of their drivers to be a world champion, they're not going to put the other guy first.
So I have it in front of me. Lando Norris is now 75 points behind Max Verstappen. The difference in first and second is 8 points. Will Lando need those 8 points in the future? Maybe.
Yeah.
Here's my hot take on it, and I don't know how hot it is, but it's my take. All right. It looked like Lando undercut Piastri. The only reason why was because before Lando pitted, Oscar Piastri locked up in one of the corners and ended up in the sand trap and lost like 4 seconds or something like that on that one lap. And then rejoined the track, still in the lead because he had a big enough lead. He had built a lead up. Now, remember, Oscar Piastri has not won a Formula One race ever.
Correct.
So a lot of pressure on him. And so he's driving his heart out from the pole, about to win a race at Hungary, which is notoriously difficult to pass. McLaren's been improving their car over time, and here's Piastri's big chance, and he locks up and goes in the gravel, and then his teammate undercuts him, which if I'm Lando, if I'm second place, no matter who's in front, my job is to try to win. I'm trying to pass the guy in front of me, obviously. So again, you're right. The team called him in. It ended up being an undercut, but only because the next lap when Oscar Piastri pitted, he came out of the pits behind Lando because of that 4-second lap loss. If Piastri didn't make the mistake and lose that time on the track and the racing conditions, then he would have, even if Lando tried to undercut him, he wasn't going to cover an 8-second undercut.
Yeah.
And then Piastri would have still been in the lead. So that's why I kind of disagree with the call. But at the same time, there was a radio call from the pit wall to what you said his name. I can't remember the manager's name.
Seidel.
Yeah, Andreas Seidel said, "You're gonna need a team this year. Nobody wins the championship on their own. You're gonna need a driver to take points away from everybody else. All the champions are champions because of the team. You need to do what we tell you to do." And I think Lando was just kind of waiting to the end and letting him go. But it's got to be hard. And it was when Piastri got back to the pits, I mean, he looked like he lost his dog or something. Like he wasn't jumping out of the car for his first win and standing up and pointing to the sky with the number one, or doing shoeies. He's Australian, so I expected something, some sort of Australian celebration. We got none of that. So I think it kind of took away from his first win in Formula One.
Yeah, I mean, he was probably, he probably felt like, that wasn't a showcase of, I guess, 100% my ability, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I could feel that way too. You know what I mean? He probably kind of, in a sense, he might have felt like, well, that was kind of handed to me, So I could see that, but at the end of the day, McLaren hasn't been a front runner for decade and a half, more than that, maybe.
They locked out the front row for the first time in like 12 years or something.
And look where they're at. They're first and foremost, they're competing for the constructor championship at this state right now. Right now, this
I have
this
that
moment.
up too. Yep.
And
50.
To them, it didn't matter which driver really was going to win or lose, right? As long as it was one of them.
Right. They get
them,
1,
I
2.
don't
They get
think
the
it
same
matters.
manufacturer points.
Correct.
1, 2, no matter what 2, 1. Yeah.
So I mean, at the start of that race, Oscar was doing a fantastic job. Next week is Spa. I'm hoping that their car is going to be lights out fast. I mean, they've I think out of any of the teams and the upgrades they've made, they've definitely shot higher, and I don't know if they're at their plateau. So I know a lot of people, kind of are writing off Oscar's first win or anything else, but the guy for a second season has been stupid consistent. He's fast, he's smart, and he never seems rattled. If you ever listen to any of the radio messages, it's like he's just talking, at a coffee shop. He never gets animated really about much, whether something went his way or didn't. And I think McLaren needs to really do whatever they can to not only continue to have a competing car, but keep the driving pairing they have right now.
Absolutely, 100%. I do think they feed off each other, and they're cool, calm, and collected in the heat of the battle, which is every race car team owner's dream, to have two guys that get along. Well, I hope this helps them for sure. All right, we've rambled enough for real life racing, but I do want to give an honorable mention to the IndyCar guys at Toronto street circuit. There were guys doing 50-50 rail slides on the concrete walls. If you haven't seen it, you should watch the highlights. Colton Herta gets his first win of the season, and that's my 30-second roundup of the Indy race.
Good job, Hooligan Herta.
Yeah. Dude, he was super chill. I met him at Barber one year coming in to qualify, and he took about 4 or 5 minutes with me and just chilled out and hung out. We talked about Justin Wilson and the state of IndyCar and took a selfie, and yeah, he was super chill.
Cool.
All right, man. Well, let's bring Eric back in. Somebody wake Eric up, shake him a little bit. You there, Eric? All right.
Yeah,
good.
we're here. Yeah.
Just checking. No, I'm really glad you joined us tonight, Eric. It's always a pleasure to have you on Midwest Motorsports Cooldown Lap. There was some we could talk about 2 weeks worth of racing since we missed last week's podcast. The patriotic race was pretty fun. We can also talk about Kentucky and Indy this week. So, what direction you guys want to go? What slides do you have ready for us?
Well, we can give a rundown of the patriotic races last season or last week. Quickly.
Sure.
Obviously that's our longest race of the season. We've done that since we started. Midwest was held our patriotic at Charlotte and continue the tradition of the Coke 600 per se, and whether it was Trucks Xfinity Cup, didn't matter. We were making it the longest race of the season and trying to battle that out. So this season was a little different than what we've done in the past, where we had some stage breaks in the past, and this season we kind of went back to to pre-chase format of just letting the race wind down the way it does, and fuel mileage seemed to have its run its course throughout the race and towards the end, and those that kind of manage tire and fuel were the ones that saw themselves towards the front there, and um, especially the cup race, that the trucks may, from what I recall, was a little different with. Correct me if
It,
I'm wrong. I think there was a caution closer to the end that may have mixed some things up, but
there were 6 cautions for 19 laps. Dustin Reinstedel brought home the win. Justin Thaler got a podium for P2, and Nicholas Aslan got third. And you're right, I do love the coordination between, the patriotic race at Charlotte. It was at night. There were a lot of guys that had red, white, and blue paints. We tried to do a salute to the vets as well. We did. We had like 7 guys that we were able to give shouts out to. Your grandfather, by the way, too. And so it's just really cool to have those, simulation imitate reality. And yeah, JT got the win. Oh, I'm sorry, JT got second. What did you think, JT, of the Charlotte race?
Oh, it was fun. Charlotte's really not one of my stronger tracks. I've never really felt like I know, the optimal line, especially when you get into tire wear and stuff like that. But it felt good. I felt pretty, under control there. I didn't really get caught up in. Well, I did get caught up in something, I think, in the first couple laps, and had to use a fast repair.
First or second lap, yes.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I said, well, that's my night, after that. So, but it worked out for me, I guess. I was able to claw my way back up there and at least get my lap back, and then it came down to strategy off of it, from there.
Yeah, and Eric, the fuel strategy and the cautions didn't quite work out to your favor there, Eric. It looked like you were on the right strategy there for a while. And then something happened.
Yeah, truck race didn't quite pan out on the fuel strategy side for me. I think I saved a little too much. That the trucks have been hard for me to gauge where I should save fuel and where I shouldn't. Than what the next gen has, but it kind of worked for me in the worst. I did save a pit stop, and I'm pretty sure I had the best fuel mileage out there. So I did get to save some carbon dioxide, and whatnot.
Saving the planet.
Yeah. But other than that, it didn't pan out too well for my finish.
Well, congrats to everybody that raced. There were 26 cars in the race, trucks, I should say, in the Charlotte Patriotic race, and I thought it was a good race. You think I don't know about the fuel saving part, but it seemed like a lot of guys were getting really loose coming out of, I guess it's out of 4 before the double dog leg. It seems like that's where a lot of guys were getting loose and trying to either save it and run the wall or spin around on the inside. I don't know if that's a function of the update or the track temperatures or just iRacing being iRacing or just inexperience or side drafting even now coming into a bigger play from what I've been told. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it on the truck side.
A little bit of
There's that
everything.
hump.
Yeah, there is a hump there on exit of 4, but the one thing I did notice from that update is you could definitely run the top there and be successful, where the top never really came in previously on in previous seasons. So those that know me, I love running the top of a racetrack, so that definitely was fun. I do love the excitement of running up against a wall, but didn't work out for me that night.
Yeah, it's all right. It's one of those nights to forget. We won't. Well, let's talk about the Charlotte Cup race, Eric. You might. I mean, I remember talking to you in the interview afterwards. So let's let's focus on something a little more positive on your side then. I'm not sure how on earth the 12 got in front of you there at the end, but he did. Walker McNulty, congrats to him for the win. Eric got second. Trevor McLaughlin third. He was happy to get third too. So
Yeah.
that cup rate played out a little better.
Yeah, absolutely, hands down to the 12. I think we were definitely on the same strategy there, and coming to the end, I think I thought I saved enough, and I ran out as soon as I hit that um, the start finish, and he was behind me um, before pit stop, and
Yes.
we cycled out, and he got the lead in front of me after our pit stop, and
I got the down low on how that happened. I
oh,
don't know if it's
please
gonna
share.
I don't know if it's gonna help you or if it's gonna make you worse. I mean, we'll have to put away the sharp objects and take your shoelaces away so that we don't want you to do anything crazy. But so Walker McNulty. Now I was calling the race with Richard Harris. So shout out to Richard Harris Jr. for doing a great job on the comms with me these last two cup races. But he was watching in session and I was doing the broadcast, and when he would call, we would call together. And he watched Walker McNulty come into the pits and he overshot his pits. Walker did. And so he had to back up into his pits. And at that time, he switched from 4-tire change to just 2. So he only took 2 and ended up saving like a second and a half, even with the overshoot, than
Gotcha.
he would have if he changed 4. And I think that's how he beat you. If he'd have changed 4, you may have still come out ahead of him. Now, whether you'd have been able to hold him off or not, it would have been it was touch and go. But it
Yeah.
was like the lap after you pitted, he pitted and blew it, or
Yeah.
vice versa. So Walker overshooting the pits actually cost him less time by only taking 2. So that's how he ended up getting the overcut.
Gotcha. Well, hey,
It's
hands
racing.
down, man. That's a good move by him.
That's
And
why you got to run the race. Quick
yeah.
thinking. I mean, you have that on a button box.
Yeah.
I didn't ask him, but is that like mouse clicks real quick, or is it you have those
Well,
presets or?
yeah, I have it on a button box. I mean, you can definitely, cycle through it and click it, but uh,
You gotta be
whatever
Johnny
he
on the
did
spot.
was quick. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So hands down, that was good strategy by him.
JT, you want to talk about finishing outside the top 10?
No.
Okay.
I
All
burnt
right.
my tires up way too early and tried to hang it out there for way too long and just couldn't get. I think I went 2 laps down, and yeah, that was my day.
That's right. You made
I
some
was
back
just
though.
I was begging for a caution, and nobody would give me one. So yeah, I felt good. After Friday night, I was like, oh well,
Yeah.
I like the Cup car, so if I could have the race I had with the truck and the Cup, that'd be great. It didn't work. I think that's been difficult for me is trying to, take what you did Friday night and know what you have to change for Sunday with a whole different car and, everything else. And I just haven't been able to, translate it enough. If I try exactly maybe what I did on a Friday night, by say saving fuel or tires, I might do it too much and it ends up harming me more on Sunday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
You got to just run your own race and.
it's a skill issue.
Oh, hey, well, at least you admit it, man. It's all right. We'll get you the belt. Keep trying, man.
Please.
All good.
We
Well, we can
just need.
skip.
I need more Sonoma races in
Yeah, that
Cup
was
Series.
good. Well, some guys tried to do what you did at Sonoma during the competition caution. I think it was lap 20, and come in right before it, and it didn't work out.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's all good. Well, then we went on to Kentucky this past Friday, and that was a really fun track. I enjoyed calling that race. I had Jason Huffman in the booth with me. Shout out Jason Huffman. That was a lot of fun. I don't know if he was. I think he was in session too. We were having a good time calling the race. He's a pro. I don't know if he's done it before, but hopefully we can get him to get more Friday nights off of work and he can come join me
He's-
some more. But
Jason is definitely a personality, so I haven't watched that one yet, but it's on my list.
Yeah,
he
we
was on his
we
best behavior.
we watched it at the track, and he definitely did a great job, hands down. So thank you for joining, James, and I'm sure he appreciated that as well.
No question. Sometimes it gets a little lonely up there, man. So if you're listening, shoot me a DM. You never know. We might have a guest spot for you. But yeah, so Kentucky, it wasn't bad at all, man. Only 3 cautions. So a lot of green flag runs. I think everybody liked that. There were 18 trucks that showed up to race. So a little bit lighter than last week at Charlotte. But Nicholas Aslan came home with the win, and he was sure excited in the 48. Ty Williams admitted that he had nothing for him. Sean Happick finished 3rd. Justin, you had a top 10, well, 7th.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were in the race, so you can give us firsthand knowledge about the differences in turn 1 and 2 and turn 3 and 4.
1 and 2, you can definitely carry a lot more speed.
We're talking about Kentucky here.
Mm-hmm. Yep, a little more banked. 3 and 4, it's really a long arcing. There's some banking to it, but you really can't. Once your tires go, you really gotta start to move up the track a little bit, back your entry up a lot. It seemed like towards the end there, the second lane, third lane, was a lot better. So you could really, really get that run off exit, and that's where a lot of passing was going on. And it was a tire wear, so we were all. I think everybody was just trying to maintain a pace and not destroy their tires. But we did have plenty of sets, so with the long runs, and that what we ended up having was, it was key to bring your tires in gently. That way you can be a little more consistent throughout the run instead of fall off a pace, towards the halfway point of a run. And I think that's what led to a lot of it was, how long are the green flag runs we had, really played into it. And then deciding on when to pit. I'm trying to remember what my strategy was. I think I was pitting under the caution, and I got it down to where basically I got it to a point where I needed just a hair over a full fuel tank. So I was fuel saving for a little bit to try and get that under. And then once I did, I knew I was good to go, for a 1 stop. And, I basically, the big word from the Indy race in Cup yesterday was the fuel tax. When do you pay the fuel tax, right?
Yeah.
So I tried to get that kind of out of the way throughout the entire run to where I could just 1 stop the rest of it, because I was needing a little bit over a full tank. So I spent mine and got down, and my green flag stop. I thought, all right, well, I'm kind of maintaining pace. I'm really not making ground on the guys ahead of me. Because really it turned into kind of a 1 lane track there towards the end. You had to really pass, in that second to third lane around the entire track. So I was trying to jump guys in the pits. I only took 2 tires, and I think it actually hurt me in the end, because I pretty much fell right back to, I think, 7th. So I think there was guys behind me that ended up taking 4, and they were getting to me and passing me. So whoever took 4 there on the last stop, that was a good call. 2 was really sketchy for about 8 laps or so. I was sliding everywhere. I couldn't run the truck how I wanted to on corner exits, because it was as loose as I've ever felt it.
The last 8 laps of the stint?
The first.
The first 8 laps.
Yep. Oh yeah, it was literally driving on ice, and I know a lot of people say that, but it really felt like I was on ice. So it did me more harm, thinking I could probably jump guys by taking a shorter stop, by taking 2 tires, than it probably did if I would have taken 4.
Well, I hope you write that down in the notebook, because I'm going to remember that. If it happens again, I'm going to say Justin only took 2. and he should have took 4. But one thing that we noticed, and I don't know, maybe Eric, you can think back to the times that you were at Kentucky. I know you missed us this weekend. We missed you this weekend in our series, but and Jason and I were talking about the difference in they were comers and goers, and when you were after about 10 laps, you were 2 seconds off the pace, and if you're at the end of your tire stint, you were 4 seconds slower than everybody else, and it made for some incredible differences in passing speed and being able to time your corners right. You're already got a certain arc going into the corner, and then here's this guy that's 4 seconds slower than you up ahead in your lane. You got to decide real quick, and that could hold you up when you're racing somebody that's on the same strategy as you. I mean, there was just so much action going on. There was a big difference in the speed. How do you manage that on the track? Just kind of, well, you tell me.
Well, I mean, obviously, it's putting your car where the if you are fast, then you need to decide on where that slower car is going to go, and if you are the slower car, it is basically yielding to the faster car. Getting in an accident isn't gonna you know make your day up at all. So just being being aware of who's quicker because they're on tires, or who's quicker because they save tire, or whatever the case may be, is definitely going to be the key to a better position at the end. But that track has always bred a lot of good racing from the fact of it does wear tire quick. And if you aren't sensitive to that and know how to maintain pace with by saving your tires, then you're going to be wrapped up in that situation to where you're going to have to uh be 4 seconds off when others may only be 3 or 2, because you've just eaten up on tires. So at the end of the day, it's doing what you're comfortable with, but also staying out of the way. um and if you are faster, just understand that guys aren't just going to move out of the way sometimes either. You have to know where their comfort level is. So if they are comfortable with the low line and the low line's fast at that point, uh, then you're gonna have to maneuver and try to get around them, some way, shape, form, or fashion. But sometimes backing up your entry and letting them get through the corner will allow you to snag them on the exit. So um, just being mindful of that, and who's faster behind you. That way you can
Right.
again kind of stick your car where you need to.
Because at the end of the run, you're going to be the slow guy. You're going to be looking in the mirror instead of
Yeah,
looking way far ahead.
yeah.
Um, yeah, man. My shout out for the race, I think, goes to Ian Silva. He was about he was pitting about 10 laps before everybody else did. I don't know how he got off strategy, but I think he, um, like I say, it was about 10 laps. He pitted at like 44 and everybody else came in at 54. And then he pitted at like 74 and everybody else came in at like 94. So it was weird. I'm sure that my lap numbers are wrong, um, but to see him go through the pack, and then when his tires wore off, he was not waving people by, obviously, but making it obvious where he was going to go so that the person could get around clean. And he ended up with a top 5 finish and he almost had a top 3 until Sean Appick and Travis Jones got by him there with about 3 or 4 laps to go. So shout out to Ian Silva um, for that. But of course, Nicholas Aslin, Albert Williams, Ty Williams, and Sean Appick with his first podium. Sean Appick's been in the league for what, 4 or 5 seasons now? He said he's been here
Mm-hmm.
racing for a while and finally got on the podium for the first time. So he was pretty happy too.
Good for him. That's great.
Yeah. And then Sunday, the truck series went to Indianapolis. JT, how did that race go for you?
For me, not as well as I was hoping. I mean, it had its really high points personally. I thought it was a lot of fun. I did a lot of practice beforehand, and Indy's always a track, and I don't know why. I just always feel like I struggled with it. But towards the end of my offline practicing before the race, I started to kind of figure it out, right? And once you kind of figure it out, you're like, all right, I got it now. So, I didn't qualify the greatest, but I run better when I'm chasing anyways, so I wasn't too worried about my qualifying. But what's so funny? Or was that a sneeze?
Sorry, I was sneezing there. I was trying to get to mute. I didn't
Bless
quite
you.
get there.
Well,
Thank
bless you, my son. So, we had a good amount. I was kind of feeling out the first. I think we had 15 laps before our comp caution, so I was just trying to feel it out there. See kind of how the lanes were going to develop and go from there. But it wasn't short of any action. And then after that, I found myself getting towards the front and then leading quite a handful of laps in a really good battle. Ty was up there. I was running against him. Walker, I was trying to help him, and I forget
You
who
guys
was.
were racing, man. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, I forget who ended up who was leading the race. I think it was the 56.
Ty, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, I think the 56 was up there for a while too. But
23.
yeah, so it was really, you kind of talked about this with Eric. What do you do when you're quicker, right? And I think Indy is like the best example of knowing when to back off so you can make a move, right? So knowing what corner you're going to let the car in front of you get out a little bit of a way. That way you can run your preferred lane that you're going to make time on and set yourself up for the run, right? And I don't know, like I think when, I was racing against like Walker and Ty, like I was doing that really well, setting myself up for that exit of 2 or 4 and getting the run. But my field strategy was good. I knew where I needed to be and I knew what my plan was. But I don't know, was there maybe 30 to go and we were just caution played from there on to the end.
Yep.
And I don't know, like a lot of the restarts, I wasn't getting where I wanted to be, and either wasn't getting a good enough jump when the leaders went, or was stuck behind somebody else. So I was just trying to, throughout the race, trying to work with whoever, and it didn't seem like. And I'm gonna say it just because I know he'll be cool with it. But I feel like I helped Walker out quite a bit with trying to push him past some guys early in the race.
I noticed you were bump drafting him. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like I got any help in return. So
Maybe the opposite. But we
yeah.
won't go there. But
So
no,
what?
I mean,
Which is fine, whatever it is, what it is. But I was like, come on, man, just help me. I was helping you how many laps? I got you out in front. But yeah, it's all good, dude. It was racing. I had a lot of fun until the last green white checker. I couldn't get my car out into the lane I wanted to be. I lost control of the outside, and I was battling John Mankowski and in the Discord after. I was like, all right, well, I mean, there's no better person to compare you to than Ryan Newman right now, because I couldn't pass you to save my life no matter what I did. I tried to set up a run, couldn't get to him, and I had to get to the bottom, and for whatever reason I couldn't stick the car to the bottom and make a pass there. That second lane up was definitely the faster of the lanes. And
99.
yeah, I was side by side with Mankowski. I was on the inside coming out of fourth, and I couldn't slide up behind him and just retain third because McLaughlin was coming up in the 99 way too quick, and I knew at that point I was dead in the water there. So, but I mean that's on me. that I would have just stayed maybe behind John Mankowski and reserved a P3 finish. It's yeah, I got nothing to say against that about anybody. They would have done what I would have done if I was in their position. So
You're
kudos
trying
to
for it,
them.
man. You have to.
Yeah. So I felt really bad. I know I told him right when it happened, then I messaged him on Discord as well, but did feel bad for Ryan Enlow. I never got to rewatch the replay where we were coming out of four. I was on the inside. I don't know if we both just moved into each other, if I came up a little bit, but he ended up spinning across the front of me, and I kind of felt real bad about that because, uh, I don't want to race anybody like that. So, Brian, if you're listening again, I apologize, man. You recovered well. It was a good race, but yeah, what'd you see up in the booth? How was it for you?
Oh man, lots of different leaders. It was a lot of fun to call. Um, Norm ended up with coming out of there P 6 or 7, something like that, and the new guy, second week out, Russell Martin,
Mhm.
finished P 6. So it looked like he was holding a clean line. He got tied up in somebody else's mess, I think. And actually, one time he got loose on his own, but saved it and didn't hit a wall and didn't hit anybody else, and we stayed green. So that put him back, but he had a good recovery from that. But I do feel bad for Michael Samia. There was twice where he got the short end of the stick.
Mm.
Once I think the 12 spun right in front of him, and he ended up T-boning him hard. And then another time, I think somebody got a run on him coming out of 2 and thought he was clear or didn't. I don't know if Michael Samia moved down off the wall or if the other guy moved up into him. I didn't see enough of a replay to know what happened, but it was just one of them racing deals, as they say, and it spun around, but that kind of ruined his night, and he ended up retiring from the race. He stayed in to get his finishing points, but
Mm.
yeah, it was my hard luck of the race goes to Michael Samia.
Yeah.
But we all have those races. Aaron Holroyd was like 8 laps down at one point, and Michael Harris was rooting him on, and Michael Harris was counting down the laps. He was gaining back every caution, so we were
Oh
all pulling
yeah.
for Aaron to come back up.
Yeah, Aaron, he's done a really good job at the starts of the race. And
Yeah,
I don't know everything that happens to him, but if he could just figure out, I don't know if this is bad luck or he's getting in positions where he shouldn't be in.
I think
But
he's excited about doing well. Yeah,
yeah, but I mean, he's done a really good job at the start of these races, and if he can figure out how to put it all together and be there for the end, he's going to be a contender.
yeah.
He surprised me. I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh, I'm not surprised at all. He's been working hard at it for a while, and he's a good dude, and
we
you
were
can't
we
like
were
his
in
effort.
we were in the Discord when he was all those laps down, and it was hilarious because he just kept saying, "Oh yeah, I only need 6 more," and then another caution comes out. "Oh yeah, I'm only 5 down now," and I said, "Oh shit, dude, if this keeps going the way it's going, you might be on the lead lap at the end of
Yeah, that's what Michael Harris Jr. was thinking too.
it."
Um, Well, it was a lot of fun, man. I hope everybody that saw it had fun. I hope everybody that was in it has fun. So
Mhm.
had fun. The next season or next week, the Cup Series is having a throwback race, as well as the trucks. But the truck Cup's going to Rockingham. What are we going to see, Eric, at Rockingham? Are you going to join us? I hope.
Yeah, I'll be there. It's gonna be a bumpy race. um,
Bumpy.
I don't know that I've run the Cup car there. Um, with the suspension that Cup car has and whatnot, it might be a little interesting. But I am excited to go to Rockingham. I do enjoy. We raced some Xfinity cars there in the past and whatnot, and um, it is a fun racetrack. But I think it'll be interesting to see the Cup cars there. It'd be interesting to see, uh, how they finish. Whether they kind of go for a high line or stick to the bottom. So um, could wind up being exciting.
I think so. After that last race, Ty Williams takes over the points championship with Justin Thaler just 4 points behind. Walker McNulty almost a whole race behind, 46. And then Dustin Reinstedel fourth, missing a couple races, but early in the season, maybe too early to be talking about points, but every point's going to matter at the end of the race. Ty Williams has a grudge after losing last season. It was a really close battle with Dustin Reinstedel. We'll see what happens this season. And trucks are at Atlanta Motor Speedway, the old 09 version. So, Justin, what are we going to see at Atlanta?
Oh, I think it'll be
More bumps.
It'll be maybe a little bit. I remember right. Was it slippery there the first time we ran the cup at the old Atlanta?
Cup, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be slippery there. You're gonna spin tires on the restart. I do remember that. But I think it'll be way more of a strategy race than the new
Rockingham.
layout. Well, the new layout of Atlanta.
Roger.
So I'm glad we're not running that one again. That's just a mini super speedway. So
Nicholas Astlin leads the points in the trucks. Dustin Reinstedel, a full race, 44 points back. Justin Thaler, 8 points back from Dustin Reinstedel. Those are the top three in the trucks. Again, after race 7, still early, but got 12 races in this season. So we're just over the halfway point now. Should be a lot of fun. You're not going to want to miss it. Anything else before we cut this one loose?
Nothing
don't
too
know.
major, other than got your road series starting up here soon.
Yeah.
The new season, so that'll obviously bring some more excitement into the loop. But hopefully everybody's excited about that. Halfway through our Oval Series season, be looking shortly here for some sort of a survey coming out on how we would like or how you, the member, would like the next season 8, to unfold, and we'll start planning on that one here in the next few weeks or so, and looking to start that one off strong, but obviously have the rest of the season to look forward to. So obviously appreciate everybody out there that is a member, and those of you listening that kind of stay intact with everything Midwest Motorsports, thank you as well. So keep following those social media pages and checking out the website, finding your most up-to-date news there, and hopefully we can continue to create a good product and keep it entertaining. So
Speaking of polls and speaking of road series,
Yeah.
Justin, you want to talk
Last
about
week.
the
Last week.
what's that?
How about last week in the road series?
Last week of the road series? Oh,
Yeah, what wild.
yeah. Shoot, we should talk about the Daytona preseason race in the rain. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we missed that. I apologize. That was a lot of fun.
Y'all thought we were done.
Yeah, exactly. I was looking at the time thinking, oh, Josh is gonna be mad at me, but we can't forget because Josh got some airtime on the road series. Got to bring out the Mercedes GT3 car.
No,
Do some pacing
the
laps.
Mustang. The Mustang.
That was a Mustang? I thought it was a Mercedes.
That's the new dark horse, my man.
Oh my gosh, I missed it. I was thinking that was the Oval, same car as the Oval Series. They look too similar. So yes, hopefully Josh can bring the Mustang out again another time in the future. But right now, he brought it out in the rain at Daytona.
Mm-hmm.
Justin, you raced it?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Not how I expected. So, we'll make it kind of quick, but I think there's a lot of good stuff we have to get to. When the race is set up, we're using iRacing's new Tempest weather system, so it's realistic weather. And at the race start, practice and quali, it was all dry. the forecast was, I think, only 12% rain. And when everybody
Yeah.
grid up for the race following quali, it was raining. And it rained, I would say, for 45 minutes of an hour long, 40 minutes or so, somewhere around there. But it was a lot of fun. The typical cast of characters were all qualified up front, and it's been said before, but rain is the equalizer, and it was a lot of fun. It was hunting for the line where you're gonna optimize your time in the track time, or your lap time in the wet. Um, trying to set somebody up and go for a move, but be fairly confident you weren't gonna take yourself out of contention or another driver was a lot of fun, and the spray, and um, it was a good battle. Josh did come out with a safety car to group everybody up, which I thought
Dark
was
Horse
cool.
Mustang safety car.
The official Midwest Motorsports safety car. So I think that was a lot of fun. It was pretty cool, and we're not going to follow suit in the actual season, but just since this is a preseason race, there's nothing on the table, nothing to gain, nothing to lose. And we didn't have a whole big field. I think we had 13, maybe 12, somewhere in there. But there was definitely some errors from drivers that were made, and I can't say that I probably won't make the same error. I know that um, uh, Jason Phillips, I think he accidentally, when he went into pit, he was going to change tires and accidentally still had dry tires selected. And I believe Odell did the same thing.
Odell came in during the comp caution and put slicks on.
Yep. So that's
it was still pouring down rain.
Yep.
I think he had his switches messed up. I don't know if he has a button box or if he's mouse clicking or just wasn't paying attention. But yeah, when he came out on slicks, me and Adam, shout out to Adam for joining me in the booth on that one. We're like, oh, that's not going to work, and he had to come right back in after like a 5-minute lap. So,
but yeah, it was so much fun. Justin, I had battles
you and
with
Glickner.
I had battles with Daniels. And honestly, I was just trying to fuel save. I've fueled up at the comp caution. I said I'll go now and see if I can stretch it. And I was trying to fuel save for a while. I got past Daniels and was still trying to fuel save. But it's that cat and mouse game. Do I try and stretch my legs a little bit and force him to basically chase me and burn up his fuel as well? So I was trying to manage fuel, and I realized, well, I'm going to be like literally a lap short, maybe 2 laps short. So I decided to pit. Gleckner followed me in. We came out. Daniels was, I think, like 25 seconds up on us, and I was like, well, if he fuel saves enough, he might be able to make it. But he ended up hitting, and I was like, okay, now's my opportunity. I can make it to the end. But yeah, I had an awesome battle with Gleckner for the last 6 laps or so, maybe, back and forth, and he would overdrive a corner, and I thought, all right, now I can breathe a little bit, and then literally the next corner I might have gotten offline to where I want to be, and and that's what the rain's gonna do. So it was a really fun finish, really fun race, and that's what's going to be in store. So we're going to have races that are going to be guaranteed rain, but the rest of them, it's whatever iRacing decides to do, it's going to do. So it's going to shake it up and be interesting for sure.
Yeah, it was great fun to call. I think everybody had a chance to lead that race. Everybody spent some time in the grass. Everybody spent some time in the pits. I don't remember anybody that had a clean race without some sort of drama. And I agree with you that the comp caution thing may work in a preseason. We're kind of lucky that we're having rain when we do the preseason. That was, I think, a smart thing to do and just kind of test it out to get everybody in this scenario. But I think there was a little bit of confusion on whether that's going to be like a regular thing in the season or not. And so, I apologize for any miscommunication on our end to everybody ahead of time to know this is just something we're trying for this specific race, and the only way to know if it's going to work or not is to try it. So now we have practice with it, and everybody knows the procedure. If it does happen, in the rare instance that it does, we know what to do. But like I say, everybody had a chance to lead, and it just so happened that Justin Thaler was ahead when the lead came out, and you and Glickner were 1 and 2 bump drafting. I mean, y'all were having a really good race in the drying track. So as the track was drying, were you noticing starting to notice a dry line? It never got to the point where slicks were needed. Was it ever called actually a dry track condition?
No, I don't think so. You could tell, like, it was weird though, because like as the storm trailed off, I mean, Daytona is such a huge facility. It was still kind of raining, like misting on like the NASCAR side of where you come out, um, well before the bus stop, but like everywhere else, it wasn't. So, um, yeah, it was cool. Like you could kind of start to see some of the track drying and the line drying in different places. So it was definitely challenging. And then you're also at the dilemma. So you're on you know a set of wet tires as the track starts to dry. How hard do you push them? Right? Do you kind of get into the wet part of the tracks? On the straightaways or something to try and keep your tire temps down and not overcook your tires and things like that. So
I think
um,
you're overthinking it
I don't
at that
know,
point.
man. Maybe.
You're more experienced than I am. So, I mean, maybe that's why you won. Maybe that's why you won. Well, I
But
tell you, the only
yeah.
car that had 0X was Josh Watt in the safety car. Everybody else was multiples. I do remember
Yeah.
that.
Well, going into that kink there after turn two, I
Yep.
mean, I was mid pack, and there was just so much spray, and I knew the kink was there, and I couldn't see it, and I was probably definitely carrying more speed than what I should have. And Gleckner was kind of, I don't know if he was in front of me or next to me.
He
He
was right
ran
behind you.
wide.
It was like, I'll do what you do.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just going to do
followed
what
him
Justin
right
does.
off, man. It
Yeah.
was, yeah. So like, it's going to be interesting, and that's going to come into play. The risk versus reward. What are you going to do when it's wet? You know what I mean? You got to
Well,
finish the race.
yeah, I think everybody finished the race that started. So
Mm.
that was way cool. It was a lot of fun. I think from the Discord afterwards, it looked like everybody had fun. And
Mm-hmm.
we're having another preseason race tomorrow. And that's
Yep.
where I was going with the polls is what are the results of the poll and where are we going? I think race sign up is up, but fill us in. Where are we going to be racing tomorrow?
Oh, we are going to Charlotte for the Roval. So,
Charlotte Roval wins out. It was tied from the last time I saw the poll.
yeah, it was close. But Charlotte reached the number of votes first, so we went with Charlotte. Between that, or I believe it was Belle Isle, which I would have been totally cool. I'm surprised Suzuka didn't get more love because Suzuka is a really fun track. It suits the GT4s really well as well. Uh, but yeah, we're going to be going to Charlotte, and we these preseason races we want to race somewhere that's not on the schedule for next season. So um, yeah, we'll
Very
be
cool.
racing in Charlotte. I do like that track. It's super fun. So yeah,
No
I'm looking
safety
forward
car,
to it.
no comp caution.
No safety car, no comp caution. It's going to be our standard 1 hour race format.
Right on.
So just like a regular league night would be. It's just a preseason, no points. Just get guys to shake the rust off, get a feel for maybe some new drivers who have joined us. Or just get reacclimated to everybody who's involved in the road series.
It's open to any Midwest Motorsports racer or just the Road Series racers?
Since we're so close, we're just gonna do it for existing road
Okay.
series drivers.
All good.
But we're gonna have fun runs again, on our off weeks, and I think I've got some pretty wacky ideas that I think are gonna be a lot of fun, and those are always open to any member, whether you race on in the road series or not.
Yeah. Well, thanks for thinking about all that stuff and coordinating it all. I know
Yeah.
it seems like it could be work, but it's a lot of fun too. It's fun for us.
Oh
We
yeah.
appreciate your effort. Eric, thanks for all you do for the league, man, and thanks for joining us tonight. And I remember you doing a Road Series race last year. You popped in. I don't know if it was Long Beach or Chicago. I think it was a street circuit.
It was Long Beach. He was at Long Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully, maybe we'd love to see you sneak in another preseason race, maybe, or not the next fun run that's offered.
Oh, of course. I'll definitely be out there if I can.
Roger. All right. Well, I've talked my ear off. Anything else? Did I forget? Did we forget anything this time?
No, I think we're all right. I do want to parrot what Eric said about everybody who chooses to be here to support us and all our fans who maybe not are in the league but are fans of the broadcast and follow us on the social media and channels and all that, and all the admins and all you guys up there in the booth for doing what you guys do.
Yeah, I 10-4 on that. All the admins that make it possible. Couldn't do it without you. Of course, we couldn't do it without the league members. Once again, we are the fastest growing iRacing league on the planet, according to my research, and hopefully we'll keep it going that way. I think that's a wrap for the Cooldown lap. Thanks to Josh Watt for running the broadcast stream. I'm James J. for Justin Thaler and Eric Thaler, reminding you to stay in your lane. We'll see you tomorrow night for the road broadcast.